can't keep the promises that you tell yourself, that's really bad. Unfortunately, that's how it is. And I mean, I'm sure a lot of people have felt this way when they keep their promises. How much more confident are you? Like, there's a question to everyone that's listening. Definitely more confident. Like, put yourself in a time where you kept your promise and you're like, wow, yes. So whenever you say I'm going to wake up at this time, you better be waking up at that time, because if not, you're not respecting yourself.
Yeah, we try not to do only market data, because I think that if they're in the mode to buy or sell, they care. But what about those 7 years in between? On average, people move. Well, I think it's even 5 years now. But still, how do I stay relevant in their life for the next 5 years before they buy or sell, so that they reach out to me when it's time? And so for us, it's, on our consumer stuff, it's very localized. Here, yes, there maybe it's a little bit of real estate.
Here we go. Speaking of live, we are live, everybody. Super excited about this one. LabCoatAgents, LabCoat family, thanks so much for jumping into another incredible webinar that we have here live. And this is a very special one. We have an incredible guest, but you have two moderators, humble to serve you guys and bring knowledge here. So Tara, it's a pleasure that you're on here as well. So without further ado, I want to kind of jump into this particular webinar. Really excited about this one. And the topic is obviously pulled so many people who are watching this now and after the fact. From 0 to 85 homes sold in 2 years. Now we got correction. It's technically 2.5. So everybody bear in mind that Andres is very on the up and up. He wanted to be very specific on that time frame. But we've got an incredible guest. And Andres, I know a little bit about your story. I would love to know more, but all I know is you're an absolute rock star. You started at the ripe old age of 19 years old. Which is absolutely incredible to see what you've done in your career path thus far. 6 or 7 years in now at this point, something along those lines. Am I right on that?
3 years, the old 2.5 years is full-time. The rest of those were part-time.
Love that. And that's even crazier, right? If you think about it. So I can't wait to dive into it. I really want to thank everybody for being on here. As always, what'll happen is Tara and I will monitor the chat. So if you guys have any thoughts or questions for the man, the myth, the legend right here, please chime in. We'll field those questions. But yeah, Andres, let's just start with you, explaining to everybody who you are, where you're from, what got you into the biz, and your journey today, if that's all right.
And thank you guys. Honestly, I can tell you guys are great hosts. We just met, but thanks for the introduction. I'm from El Paso, Texas. And when I was 19, I got into the University of Texas at Austin, Hook 'em.
Love it.
I needed to find a way to pay for college when I was 19. So the way I said, you know what? I used to do Cutco, selling knives and cold calling, but I didn't want to have a boss, and I want to have my own time, to where it's like, I didn't have a cap to what I could make. And I decided, you know what, let's do real estate. I started doing leasing, as in helping a lot of students find apartments, and those apartments would pay me once I got them to sign a lease and whatnot. And that's how I was able to pay for college. But during those 3-4 years that I was doing leasing, at 21, I got someone to call me. It's like, hey, Andrea told me about you, and I'm looking to buy a condo. My budget's 1 to 3 million. So imagine me, 20 years old, 21 years old, around there. No experience with buying or selling or anything. I had just done leasing. And I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll help you. And then I hung up. I had never done leasing. I didn't even know what an HOA was. So I was so nervous. And then that kind of the mindset started getting into me, like, I'm not worthy of this and that. But I said, you know what, let's go for it. I partnered with the best agent in my company, which at that time was Housing Scout. And we were able to sell him a $1.1 million condo, got about 15 to 30,000 in commission. And from there, I was like, this is insane. The first thing I did, though, was buy a keg for my roommates. And yeah, it was so much fun.
Priorities.
Yeah,
exactly. I love it.
At that time. So then I was like, you know what? This is something I can do for the long run. I thought I was going to have an 8 to 5 and going to have to work for someone. And I graduated and I had my dream job, which was JLL as a financial analyst. But I said, no, I'm not going to do that. graduated at 23, and then 23 joined a team, and Diego, Corzo, Victor Nino are my mentors. So now I'm on that team, and now I'm a business partner, and I have several agents that I mentor and train. So that's like the short version of the story.
I mean, to me, that's absolutely incredible. And looking at paths and, what makes people make decisions, and, why was it real estate? I mean, what was the spark in your thought process early on to say, yeah, let's go down this road? I mean, being, going to college, doing these things that you're doing, what was the drive? Why?
It was more so, I really think since when I was 16, I did a year abroad in France, and I think it really goes back to that now that I think about it, because when I was 16, I didn't know any French. I had a host family. That time didn't have friends. And I was like, you know what? I kind of have to take extreme ownership. And if I don't go socialize, if I don't do these things and don't take ownership, then I'm not going to have any friends or anything. And it's going to suck. And it was scary. But I really think that made me become more independent in hindsight. And now I'm like, oh, okay, you know what? I really think from that independence that I had when I was 16, living with a host family on my own, that then intertwined into, I didn't want to have a boss, and I wanted to make enough money to pay for college. And 8 to 5 probably wouldn't have done that as a student. So I said, what am I going to do? It wasn't really like, oh, I love this right now. And no, it was more so I needed to find a way to make ends meet. And through real estate at that time was what helped me become that version that I am right now of myself.
I think that it's fascinating. Everybody's got a different walk of life and perspective and what gets them involved. And I don't think I've ever had a conversation with a professional to say, I was a young boy or young girl and I knew that it was real estate. It isn't that direct path that way. But once you get involved and you realize the opportunity and the paths of life and what you can really create in real estate, it's pretty amazing. It's pretty spectacular. And again, you're not a normal sort of standpoint, my friend, because when you're looking at it, there are professionals that have been doing this quite a while that would be lucky to be doing 40 some odd transactions within a 12-month period of time. So you've done that at a very young age and a very quick part of the full-time stint of your career. So I know everyone's tuning into that, and you've got so much great content to give. So where do you want to start, Andreas? Like I guess, what was the path for you to get to that 85 transactions? What piece of advice do you want to give to everybody who's tuning in right now? Where do you want to start?
The first thing I would say, and it's so true, is in order to best help people, you need to become the best version of yourself, because once you're the best version of yourself, you'll attract the best. It all starts with, how do you treat yourself? How do you talk to yourself? How much time do you give to your own health? And I so much believe in a morning routine. The big misconception, a lot of people think, oh, it's 4:50 a.m., 5 a.m. You don't have to wake up at that time. You can wake up at 6 a.m. You can wake up at 6:30, but give yourself 30 minutes to an hour. I give myself 3 hours in my morning routine.
Wow.
That's me though. For everyone else, it's different. And it's a big misconception. You have to wake up super early. No, you do not have to wake up super early. That's what I do, and that's what I've enjoyed. After 3 different iterations of trying a morning routine, now this is the one to where I feel my best version. And maybe it changes, but it's me right now. So it all starts with the morning routine, definitely, like meditating, what you tell yourself, you're visualizing, doing exercise for 10 minutes, reading, scribing. I love scribing. Like today I wrote down my top 3 tasks. And then what I like doing for these type of webinars, which is a bit funny, is I say this is going to be a great webinar and I'm super excited, and I already checked the box before even doing it. So it kind of puts me in that mindset that this is going to be incredible, and I know it will, because I've already checked that box. It's kind of a small shift that has just been such a game changer. So for any agents, I really say the morning routine is so crucial to success.
I love that you jumped on that, because I think that that's really where it starts, right? So if we change our mindset and say AM stands for another miracle, then we are so grateful to wake up. And when you start with your day with gratitude, I mean, gratitude is the highest form of energy, right? So what better way to start your day And so what I'm hearing you say is you are following the Savers model from Miracle Morning. Am I right?
I love that book. I have it right here. And Hal's actually in Austin. Yeah, I love this book.
Yeah, they have one for real estate agents as well.
Yes.
That's written as a second edition to Michael Mayer, from 7 Levels of Communication. It's a story, the second part 2 of the story of the book. Savers could be done in 6 minutes too. You could do one thing, one minute. It's the easiest thing ever. So I encourage those to look up Savers, and it could be a game changer for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's really what you're putting value into your life. And I love, Tara, that you said the AM. That's really cool. Another miracle. Hadn't thought of it that way. And definitely something that, yeah, I'm going to keep in mind. That was awesome.
That's huge. And I love that ad, Another Miracle. I'm gonna have to use that, Tara, just so you know.
Well, it works, right? So I went through a journey of having to wake up early, and let me tell you, like, it makes a difference. And they said that Hal will say it, the guy who started the Miracle Morning, that the second that you set your snooze button, you are starting your day with procrastination, and the rest of your day will follow accordingly.
Yeah, that's really big. Also, so big extreme ownership. If you can't keep the promises that you tell yourself, that's really bad. Unfortunately, that's how it is. And I mean, I'm sure a lot of people have felt this way when they keep their promises. Much more confident are you? Like, there's a question to everyone that's listening. Definitely more confident. Like, put yourself in a time where you kept your promise and you're like, wow, yes. So whenever you say, I'm going to wake up at this time, you better be waking up at that time, because if not, you're not respecting yourself.
Amen.
Super powerful. And again, already hitting the mindset and looking at it from a morning routine standpoint. And I know that people are saying, okay, all right, so I understand you're setting the foundation, you're setting the tone for the transactions, right? So what are the next processes? You're a big proponent of storytelling and staying top of mind. So Andreas, let's talk about that aspect, how you're really taking your brand and your business and injecting it into the markets that you serve, and really be able to grow and scale that from 0 to 85, if that makes sense. So let's go there.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, Greg. Are you a big sports fan?
I love all kinds of sports and anything.
Do you know someone that's like a huge sports fan?
My dad loves baseball. He is a big baseball fan.
So when you think of baseball, who's the first person that comes to mind?
But for me, Babe Ruth, because that's his favorite player.
Babe Ruth, but from a fan standpoint, it would probably be your dad. You're like, oh, huge fan, or whatever team. If he goes for the Astros, you're going to connect that with your dad. If he would go for the Astros, probably.
For sure. He's a Yankees fan. So no offense to him. It's not his fault, but
I'm an Astros fan, so people don't like that, but
yeah.
that's another topic for another day. But the point here is, like, whenever you want to think of something like, oh, baseball, or oh, Yankees, the first person that comes to mind is that person that's always telling you, that's always like, oh, this and that and that and that. You connect those things right away. In real estate, that's the person that you have to be to your friends, family, everyone else. And how do you do that? Well, you stay top of mind nowadays through social media and through talking to people about things that you enjoy doing, through sharing your goals. A lot of people are like, I don't want to be that salesperson, this and that. But it's like, share your goals. People enjoy when someone has a goal, and it's fun and it's exciting. So by being top of mind, for me, what I do is I put a story up of every day of what I'm doing. Today, I did my morning routine. I went to the sauna. I put up a story. Oh, in the sauna. Okay, cool. And then I put up a story of doing a webinar right there. People are like, oh, okay, fitness and real estate. So putting stories every day is just so important to stay top of mind. And the one thing is, it does not always have to be real estate. You yourself are the brand. So don't have like 2 accounts of like, oh, a real estate one and a personal one. Put that together, because people want to be able to relate to you. And through the stories you tell, they'll be able to relate more once you also know your target audience. So just stay top of mind, putting stories up every day. Talk about your life, what you do. If you have an inspection, oh, today's an inspection. These are the top 3 things to look for an inspection. These are the top 5 capital expenditures: roof, HVAC, electric, plumbing. So those small things, and it's so easy to post a story every day.
What's great is that the stories, because they're short and they're gone in 24 hours. I love the fact that you just dropped one of my favorite things to tell my coaching clients, that do not have 2 pages. Like
Yeah.
people are going to do business with you because they know, like, and trust you. And so I don't know if you have a rule around it. So if you do, it'd be awesome to know what that is. Mine is an 80-20 rule. It's 80% personal, 20% business.
I like that.
And it's 2 different messages on 2 different platforms. So just being aware of the daily things that go on. Like I saw you take the story for us jumping on this call, and I will as well. So I would prefer if you could put your Instagram too in the chat so that other people can go and follow you. That'd be awesome.
Of course.
I think that you bring up a really good point. Is you're looking at it from the standpoint of being top of mind and being consistent, you know, just like you would physically show up every day digitally, right? Because your audience, your friends, your family are there, right? So there's physicality and there's digital aspects. Any other recommendations or thoughts when we're on this topic? You mentioned stories, but any thoughts about reels or shorts or doing anything involved in other platforms like TikTok instead of just Instagram or Facebook?
Do everything. TikTok, Instagram, even LinkedIn. I've gotten clients through LinkedIn, which I was pretty surprised. I was like, hey, if I'm doing one thing right now, why not just put it on? It's going to take 2 minutes. So I've gotten clients from TikTok. I've gotten a lot of clients from Instagram. And the big thing here as well, you kind of want to narrow down your target audience if you're barely starting, because whenever you're talking to the camera, who exactly are you talking to and what problems are you solving for them?
Beautiful.
So the big thing here is, what problems do they have? Who do they associate themselves with? What are they thinking about real estate? What do they enjoy doing? I mean, even the smallest things is, do they have dogs? Like things like that, you know? And then from there, you reverse engineer, like, okay, they have a dog, they might like this and they might like that. So you can really talk to that exact avatar once you're on the camera. And it does not mean that that's the only client you'll have, but that's how you start off. And that's how you can start to post more stories intentionally.
Love that. Super good. I think that obviously talking about staying top of mind and storytelling, would you mind diving a little bit deeper into that aspect? Because I think people understand the concept of, hey, I should be present more. I should be more consistent on media. I should be shooting videos and putting them up there. But storytelling is a little bit deeper. There's a little bit more thought and emotion that's evoked in there. So what's your perspective on storytelling and how you used it to essentially connect, but do more transactions?
A really good question. And one thing I would recommend for everyone is join Toastmasters. Toastmasters is a public speaking group, and that's not joking. That's a game changer. And I've already had 2 clients from Toastmasters. It's insane, but it's like a public speaking group. And honestly, to tell you the truth, I used to tell myself that I enjoyed public speaking, and I would tell people I did, but I didn't. It was something it was something that scared me. But I was just like, no, I was trying to convince my head and myself that I did. And now I actually really enjoy it. And that's how you can really start telling a better story, by improving your public speaking. Because in real estate, a lot of people think we're salespeople. We're not. We're storytellers, problem solvers, and educators. Oof. And that's how you should change your mindset to view yourself as an agent. So going on the storytelling aspect, I knew that my ideal target audience were people that had just graduated, people that thought they were going to have to rent forever, people that had a misconception about, 20% down in real estate, and people most of the time that were single at that time. That was my target audience. And I said, how can I get a story to where people will be able to relate with that? So I said, look, if I'm telling people to do that, I should be the first one to do it. So I bought a house, lived in 1 room, rented out the other 3, covered my whole mortgage. I was living for free and making $300 in passive income. The story that I put out on my Instagram was so true. It's like, look, I just graduated college. I didn't think I was going to be able to do this. And how great is it? I was able to put 3% down as a first-time home buyer. There's so many misconceptions about real estate that we just don't know because we're not educated. And then I put, like, the last thing I did on that post was like, what questions do you have about real estate and what do you think is not possible because you haven't educated yourself? People started commenting and I got like 800 likes and like 120 comments. And from there, a lot of people were like, damn, Andres did it at 23. So I can probably do it. The big thing here was a relatable story to my target audience. And that's what started spinning the wheels. And that's when I started getting a lot of clients.
So when you go into that, I mean, are you getting any thought processes of inspiration for what types of topics? Because I think a lot of people would say, hey, I really do want to connect with my sphere, with my audience. And you did it. I mean, just graduated, renting, misconceptions about 20% down. You know your niche, that particular niche. There's a lot of professionals that even just struggle there. So obviously identifying that niche and then identifying where they're at and where they're looking to go and solving those problems. How did you go about figuring that out if you were advising somebody?
I went about figuring it out because it was a problem that I was facing and that I just knew there was a way to solve the problem that of renting for myself. So it's more so I think it starts with you and like, hey, what problems am I maybe facing in real estate that I would love to solve? And once you figure it out, because almost everything in life, there's a solution. I'm pretty sure like everything in life does have a solution as long as if you're persistent. So it's like really, okay, what problems am I facing right now? And how would I like to solve them so that I can then teach people to do that? That's what I would start off with first, like internally. And then from there, you can start reverse engineering that ideal target audience that you would like to serve.
I think it's beautiful. I really like that aspect of going into that. So as you continue to grow and scale and solve problems and identify those niches and really hone in on them, start to turn transactions, I guess it dovetails into referral business. And that's a big part of you and what you do, Andreas. So can we talk about that? I guess what the transition was like as you started out and then you really just started picking up steam with referrals, and how did all that work? How's that look?
Yeah, I love talking about referrals. And one thing that's super important is just like script practicing and knowing how to ask better questions. The quality of your questions will determine the quality of your lifestyle. And it is so important to know what questions to ask with the right intentions, obviously. Always the right intentions. So, I mean, it's the smallest question. This is such a small question, but it's just a game changer. Open-ended questions like, do you know of anyone that's looking to buy or sell? That's a yes or a no. Who do you know that's looking to buy or sell? I mean, that's such a small question difference, but it just makes a huge difference because who do you know that's like, okay, it starts getting you to think and you can't really say no or yes to that. You'll like actually think about it. So the quality of questions determines the quality of your lifestyle. But to get more into this, like 60 to 70% of my business is referral based. And it's so important to be top of mind, not only through videos, but birthdays. Like every time I meet a new client, what's your birthday? What type of wine do you like? Do you have a dog? Do you have kids? What school do they go to? Things like that. And then nobody will expect this, but when it's their birthday, I send them cookies. I was in Europe for some business and soccer games. This past week, I got back yesterday, and I sent a client some cookies while in Europe. And he was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much, and this and that. And it's $20 to send. If you get, I'm sure if you get cookies on your birthday, you will never forget that person. Then,
no doubt.
Things like just sending stuff on their birthdays, just staying top of mind. And then also another big thing that I like doing with my clients is like just events, obviously like Christmas, Halloween, and then closing gifts. I allocate about $500 for a closing gift.
Okay.
That's honestly, in California, that's probably nothing out of the commission that we get. So this goes such a long way. And it's through being intentional about listening and really kind of getting an idea of what the client might like. Like you can get Cutco knives with their name personalized on it. I never put my logo or anything. I don't like doing that. I think that's, for me personally, that's different for me. I think that's a bit too much. I know that they're going to remember, and if they have their name on it, how awesome would that be? Things that they see all the time on Apple Watch, they're going to remember you every time they see that Apple Watch. For sure. So closing gifts has been huge for referrals. The birthday presents has been huge for referrals. And then, I mean, obviously, you're going to do a great job. So these people are going to love you. And sending them like emails. I do like a Wisdom Monday. I'm part of by referral only. And every Monday we do like asking a question. I think Monday's question was, what makes lemonade different in Europe or in the UK or something like that. And people engage with it. A friend sent me, dude, I love these Wisdom Monday questions. And it's fun because people engage with it and they have fun with it. So those things have made me stay top of mind and people to want to send me people because they're like, I had a great experience with Andres and I want you to have the same.
I mean, I think that there's a lot there, Andres. And as you break the whole aspect down, you're really just stacking it up to be a genuine person, to be visible and valuable in the lives of people that you serve and or want to serve. And that can't be fabricated or faked. It's really just being present and being consistent. Taking it to another level by storytelling and posting and being consistent on social media platforms, I think is crucial, as you mentioned inside here. But I love the fact that you're really connecting and you're getting inside the hearts, minds, and heads and really putting yourself in their shoes. You know, what are they feeling? What are they thinking? What do they need? How can I serve them? And there's a lot of thought that goes into it, but further than the thought, you're executing on that thought and you're just showing up every day. And there's a big reason why the referral business, as you said, 60 to 70% of it is because you're doing right by people above and beyond, right? Full lifeblood for sure. So I appreciate you sharing that 100%.
It's becoming memorable, you know? And I think that you really are focused more on, it's not about the paperwork, it's about the people work, right? We don't just sell houses, we sell a lifestyle. And when you get to know people for who they really are, I mean, I do the same. I know what their birthdays are for their kids and their dogs and their cats and their names, and they get a specific treat, you know? And I wanted to just also shout out like AM Cards, which is our LabCoatAgents sponsor. They do a great job where I write a handwritten note. I can already have it dated to go out a certain day. And then I send a box of brownies with it. So cookies, brownies, whatever, there's a way you can also automate it and use one of our awesome sponsors. I highly suggest checking out AM Cards. And then I like that you allocate the 500 closing gifts, you know? I think that closing gifts are memorable and it sounds like you're making them more personalized rather than just giving like a generic gift. So that's awesome.
Yes. Seeing them, they're so happy when they see stuff like that and like, wow, they don't expect it.
I'm sure.
Doing it with them. Yeah.
Let's talk about your events. What type of events are you doing?
We're doing like Christmas parties, like Halloween stuff to where people come and they take pictures and whatnot, you know, so more so, and like Thanksgiving events as well with clients, seeing them in person. So we all have a lot of stuff going on. So it's always important to like see people in person, you know, not only through videos and whatnot, but also just human interaction, because through COVID and everything, we haven't had as much as we used to. As agents, we do have a lot of human interaction. I love that. Just that the clients that are not all well, most of them are not agents at all and don't do much real estate apart from purchasing the house.
For the Thanksgiving, are you doing pie day? Are you doing pies or?
Yeah, exactly. Like the pie stuff and whatnot and the pictures. And then sometimes like even dog events with their dogs, because we know everyone loves dogs. So we're planning on doing like a dog wash event thing. Is that what we'd call it? A dog wash? Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
They bring their dogs and then they get cleaned. I don't even know how to say that, but yeah. So we're doing something along those lines and it's going to be exciting. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. One thing that I did want to mention actually is the power of also joining groups. I love playing soccer and I'm part of 2 soccer teams. I've helped a lot of people through that, but it's something I love doing. Like I'm not in it for the real estate stuff. It just comes out through intentional conversation, like actually caring about people and actually talking about them. And one thing I will say also, I'm part of Toastmasters and then several other groups. But the big thing here is once you're intentional about your conversation, hey, awesome, let's connect. What's your Instagram? You know, and once people start seeing you on Instagram and what you're posting, that's when they're like, oh, damn, Andres is the real estate guy that I need to talk to whenever I think about real estate or whenever my friends ask me about real estate. So that's what it is. When you're intentional with it and you get people's social medias, always add the people that you meet on social media so that then you can stay top of mind with the things that you're doing.
Absolutely. It really sounds, I mean, you are doing things through some of my favorite ways, love, appreciation, and generosity. And you can hear it in your voice and how passionate you are, like how much you do enjoy doing what you're doing. And I hope people are hearing that because we work for ourselves, we get to build whatever business we desire. You get to choose with the people that you want to work with. So how awesome is it to find the same energy, sell 85 homes, and still love what you do, right? Because he found the outlets for the things like connecting people through Toastmasters, and he's learning to love public speaking. Highly recommended. I've been a Toastmaster since elementary school. Literally since elementary school. I didn't have a choice. My mom was the president. So I'm very grateful for that. And then, you know, you're part of the soccer group. You love playing soccer. And that was how you were able to connect with more people. You were joining organizations and attaching with people where you're going to meet like-minded people that enjoy doing things that you do. Like, what better way to build a business? Like, I mean, you can join a divorce group and be with a bunch of miserable people and kind of find those people, or you can choose to be with a group that maybe is going to be more of like your people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know. I love that you mentioned that, because it's more, and the very important words that you said, you get to, because a lot of people say, oh, I have to. No, you get to. Like, oh my gosh, it's crazy how just a small change in the mindset. And I've talked about mindset a lot. And trust me, in college, if anyone would talk to me about mindset, I'd be like, who is this person? That really, once you really get into it, yeah, I swear, once you really get into it and you're real about it, you get real with yourself, you really start asking yourself the important questions, like, do I get to do this, or do I have to? And you want to get to do everything, because not everyone's as lucky as we are, honestly.
Well, I think that you said it starts with self-care, right? Unless our tank is full, we cannot help others. You can't. I mean, you can, but and you're gonna get burnt out pretty quickly. Yeah. So when you're starting your day with self-care and you're choosing to put yourself first, and then you're starting with your business later, I think that's genius.
For sure.
Probably contributes to a lot of your success. If you had any advice for a brand new agent, would like to get to 85 homes quickly, or even just say 40 in the first year, because I have 65 coaching clients and I can tell you that no one's hit those numbers yet. There we go. And what advice do you have for them?
Okay, definitely new agents. So we're talking about the new agent. Really get into leasing right away, because a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to do leasing or anything. Look, it's going to take time to get your first sale most of the time. Sometimes it doesn't, but most of the time you have to be realistic. It will take time, but if you dedicate enough time, it'll become recurring. So start with what you can right now. You start the conversations, you get to know how you're dealing with clients, you get to know your style of talking to clients and how to negotiate a lease. You know, these all go into the contracts that you'll be doing with buying and selling. They're different, yes, but it's the real estate lingo that you have to start associating yourself with. 100% start with the leasing. Start posting as much as you can about real estate and sharing your goals on social media. And what I would say is choose one group that you'll join and be intentional about. And I can assure you, if you do those three things, you're going to sell about, and I'm not joking, like in 6 months, you will have several homes pending. I can assure you of that, if you're intentional and persistent about it. If that doesn't happen, then you're not doing it right. And that's a reality of it. There's so many excuses, but it's about taking ownership of your life, and you're where you're at because of the decisions you've made. And that's the reality.
Amen. I hear a lot of you saying intentional and be persistent. And it sounds like you have a lot of tenacity over there, which I love and admire. And and that's really what the goal is, right? Success is simple. It's just not easy. And so, and if you're persistent and you're intentional, you can build any business that you can really enjoy working for. And when you said join a group that you enjoy, I hope people understand, like, if you're a beer and wings kind of guy and you love motorcycles, like, join that group. Like, go to those, like, go there.
To get clients like that, then you can talk about, you'll be able to relate with those people because you can talk about that subject. And nothing gets me more excited than talking about soccer. Like, I can talk about soccer for days. And I went to Europe for 3 games last week. and I made a ton of real estate friends because I was so excited because all of them go for Arsenal as well. So yeah, it gets me so excited. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what better person to help than, like, I'm super excited to see people like that all the time.
That's beautiful. And I was going to ask you what your favorite team was, but you already, spoiler alert, already
Arsenal,
Arsenal. So no, right there, living and breathing, my friend. No, but it's so cool to see that passion. And I think a lot of times real estate professionals like to get in their own way and overcomplicate certain aspects of business and of life. And
no,
it really,
we don't do that.
oh, wait a minute.
Oh.
Who does that? Why would that ever happen? I think looking at it as simplistically as like you guys have been mentioning, just connecting with people in a meaningful way, like-minded individuals, and not necessarily putting yourself out of pocket, just finding passions and connecting with people. The rest of it falls into place. You know, as time goes on, it's the education, the knowledge, and consistency, and then showing up, right, physically and digitally. But ultimately, I love every aspect of how this conversation's gone. And I mean, anybody who's tuning into this now or after the fact, I mean, listen to what Andreas has been saying. It's that simple. It's not easy, but it is simplistic in nature. It's still work. It takes time. It takes effort. And even from 0 to 85 in 2.5 years,
Yes.
there's still time that it took and a lot of work.
One thing I
Absolutely.
will also say is I forgot another problem that was solved when I was thinking of my ideal target audience. A lot of people were renting and they're like, oh, my lease ends in 6 months. So like I said, there's solutions to everything in life. A new build, you get it under contract, it doesn't close with until like 6-8 months. So by asking them the question, would you consider locking a price right now and then 6 to 8 months have that be built? Is that something you'd consider? And they're like, wait, tell me more. So that was a solution to the problem that they had. Oh, I'm gonna lease. Hey, have you ever considered new builds and the fact that you can lock a price right now? And there's potential for appreciation in the market that was a year, 2 years ago.
Wow.
And that was a big solution to a lot of the problems that my clients were facing. So it's not just about resales, but new builds as well. Nowadays, builders, they're giving so many concessions. There's usually a 10-to-1 warranty. There's so many aspects that you can take about that. I mean, off-market deals, like, you know, there's a lot. There's so much.
This is crazy. I mean, I know that we could talk all day about this, and there's so many different avenues we could go down. But Tara, is there anything else that you want to cover or ask or go through, or anything else you want to leave? I mean, out there for the LCA family, your fans and all, Andreas, any thoughts?
I really want to know, and I know there's some others. I'm a huge reader. I love reading. And I can already tell, like, be seen as the connector. I've heard multiple things that you said that I can reference so many books around as well. So I got to know your top 5 favorite books and what are you reading right now?
Oh,
Great question.
Really good question. Okay. Extreme Ownership, one of my favorite books, Jocko Willink. Oh my gosh. This book is probably my favorite. It's The 4 Agreements.
Oh my God, that's my top 2.
Insane. And I have like all 6 other books. They're right under here, but I have them
His
right
son
there.
was not as good as him though. Like,
I know this one was, oh my God.
you know, and the concepts in that book are the most simple, basic things that are mind blowing.
You have to be reminded, like, don't assume, don't take things personal. Don't take things personally. Someone's having a bad day, and they probably will do something because of the bad day that they're having. It's not about you. Don't take things personally. I know that I
give that book out a lot.
Then if you're a real estate agent, How to Win Friends and Influence People, if you have not read that book, please read that book. Miracle Morning as well. And I really like Never Split the Difference as well. So I'd say those. And okay, I can't believe I forgot this one, but Untethered Soul. That's
you speak in my language.
That's I think that's my favorite book. And then 4 Agreements. Yeah.
Untethered Soul is one I always have to go back to and then read very, very slow.
Yes.
Read very slow.
The book that started for me was The Power of Now. And then from there, I was like, okay, this is different. And starting associating myself with different people, because if you're doing good, it's good based on the people you associate yourself with. So that's so important. Like, you'll become the next person of the group that you are with what they're doing. And that's the book that started it. What about you? I want to know your books.
Well, I can tell you that based on your love and my love for Untethered Soul and for Agreements, if you haven't read, you have to pick up The 5 Regrets of the Dying.
Oh, okay. That's a great title.
And you have to pause at every chapter. It is not a book you can just speed. You have to literally pause and breathe and reflect and journal after each chapter because it is heavy.
Tara,
And
can you say that again? Which one?
The 5 Regrets of the Dying.
I'm gonna get that right now.
I have crazy goosebumps. Like it's intense. I cry like a baby each chapter. It's a lot. But it goes perfectly hand in hand with the 4 Agreements and Untethered Soul. My favorite is well, besides the 4 Agreements, that's my top 2 for sure. 7 Levels of Communication. I'm a 7 levels coach for the last 5 years. So those systems are ingrained in me and I just love it. And 10X it always gives me that nice kick in the ass when I need it. And especially when it comes up about the commitment part. Atomic Habits.
Oh yeah. James Clear.
Yeah. And then I have to say that I just finished 2 books last week. The Traveler's Gift and The Noticer by Andy Andrews. Whoa.
Good
like
book, Traveler's Gift.
Great book. And these are books that you could actually read at night too. Where your brain's not going crazy, but it's about a guy who goes back in time and he gets lessons from people like Abraham Lincoln and Helen Keller. And it's really powerful. So I would highly suggest those books as well.
That's really cool. Nice.
What about you, Mr. Greg?
Yeah. Gosh, you guys mentioned so many. I mean, I think that, I base it off of Purple Cow. I think that's a really good one. If you're looking at it from a marketing standpoint, anything that Seth Godin does is pretty on point. On that note, Jab, Jab, Right Hook, doing some Gary V in there. I mean, along that mindset and kind of over motivation that way. I'm a big fan of Talent is Overrated. Jeff Coven. Coven. That's a book that's really changed the thought process. And I like it because it dives deep into so many different aspects of people's walks of life and how at the end of the day, it's just practice. From athletes to actors, politicians, business professionals, having gifts or talent, it's really not it. It's just being massively consistent and persistent. And that's how all champions are made under any circumstance. So I think that's a pretty good one. Mike Lewis, When to Jump. That's a really good one for entrepreneurs.
Okay.
And that documents very similar to like a Napoleon Hill Think and Grow Rich sort of scenario. But in this instance, it's from entrepreneurs from all different walks that are going through their journey in life and what made them transition from a 9-to-5 as a stockbroker to a professional squash player, right? Or from a full-time teacher to a screenwriter. And it's the journey of people leaving incomes and changing lives for passion as an entrepreneur. And I think that segues beautifully into real estate entrepreneurialism. So those are some that stick out to me for sure. But there's so many. I mean, it's just I'm constantly diving into them. I've got endless books all over me here. So
me too. And I have them colored like the ones I like to pull out and read again versus the ones I don't really need.
Have them right here.
Yeah.
There we go. See, that's an arm's length reach. That's the way to do it, just in case.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well,
Great.
You said Think and Grow Rich. There is a movie on YouTube, Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. Have you seen it?
No, it's on my list, my mini list.
Yep.
And then I just want to mention, so Tristan, one of the owners of LabCoatAgents, he gave me an incredible system a few years ago for books. And I do thank God he taught me this before COVID. So it's habit stacking. So instead of it's habits that you're stacking, you stack topics for books. So for example, this month for me, October, is leadership. So I am only reading leadership books, John Maxwell, only listening to podcasts around leadership, only reading articles around leadership, nothing else. Next month I have money, and it's just money books, just money podcasts, just like I just stack a habit. And so I plan 3 months in advance what my topic stack's going to be for those months. And then I find the articles and stuff that I want to get to.
I think that's brilliant. And I've never done it that way. I'll have to try it. I'm pretty sporadic, I guess.
I am too, but it gave me more of like a focus, and then I went down deeper on like what that topic was, right? So I ended up learning and retaining a lot more. So thank you, Tristan.
Yes, big shout out to that guy. But we are literally over on our time, and that's crazy. It just zipped by. But any closing remarks or final words, my friend, for you taking the time to do this? It was a pleasure for sure.
I would say one last thing. When Tara, you asked me what people recommend people to do, 75 hard. Do 75 hard for sure. That's one thing that you have to do 5 tasks per day. So if you keep those promises, you'll start getting more confident, and then you'll have time for the real estate stuff. But 75 hard is a great program for any of those listening. You should do that if you're starting off, or anyone should just do it.
I agree. I'm on day 46.
Hey.
Oh, hey, there you go.
Awesome.
There you go. And Andres, I gotta ask, just for everybody to connect with you, to follow you on social platforms, check out the sites, what are the best ways for everyone who's tuning in, either now live with us or after the fact on YouTube? How do they find you? How do they get a hold of you? How do they learn more from you?
Thank you for asking that. It's Andres Busta, TX, ANDRES, BUSTA, TX. And Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, my name, Andres Bustamante. But yeah, I usually use Instagram or TikTok. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to send me a DM.
Cool. Love it. This has been fantastic. Tara, any thoughts, any closing remarks before we wrap this one up?
No, I say that this was great, and you are going to probably change some lives. I have people take kind of what you have said and apply it, and just be intentional and persistent and go get it.
Love it. This is killer. You guys are the best. Thank you so much for taking the time today. And everybody, thank you out there for tuning in. Another incredible LabCoatAgents live webinar here. If you missed the live version, you're catching this on YouTube. So thank you so much for your love and support. We'll catch everybody on the next live webinar through LabCoatAgents. Take care. See you guys.
You guys.
Bye.